Hello everyone. In this video, we will see how to convert decimal number to a binary, right? So we already know that computer only understands binary number, guys. Okay, so binary is 0 and 1. So in general, in reality, we use decimal numbers always, right? 5, 10, 6. We use this kind of numbers. So we need to understand how to convert decimal numbers to binary, right? So let's say we took 5, okay? So if we want to convert 5 as binary, we have to divide 5 by 2. Then we get the result 2 and our remainder would be 1, right? So remainder is the part that, when you divide 2 into 2, when you do 2 into 2, we get 4 and 1 would be the rest. So rest is the remainder, guys, okay? So now the result 2 will be divided by the 2 again, and we get result 1 and remainder 0, right? And when you divide this result 1 by 2 again, we get result 0 and remainder 1. Okay, so now from this one, if you take this one first and then this 0 and then this 1, so from this 1 0 1 is the binary of 5, guys. Okay, so I hope you understand how it works. So if you take 6, 6 would be divided by 2 first and we get result 3, remainder 0, right? So now result 3 will be divided by 2. So in this case, result would be 1 and remainder would be 1, right? And this result 1 would be divided by 2 again. Result would be 0 and remainder would be 1. So if you take from this 1, 1, 1, 0 would be binary for 6, right? So now we will see the program and we will try to understand how we can convert, right? So let's think from this line. We're saying to the user that enter a decimal number. So this user will give us a decimal number like 5, right? So now we will take the input. Okay, to see this scanf function, you know that scanf is for taking input, right? So this input will be stored in this number variable, and we have a binary array, guys. Okay, so you know how array works. So this array will take 32 values, guys. Okay, so because integer types of variable, so this binary is integer, right? So it's true that we didn't define integer here, but after this number we gave a comma. So this comma means that this integer is for this binary too, right? So binary 32, this 32 means integer types of variable takes 32 bit, guys. So how 32 bit? Because every integer types of variable is 4 byte, right? Its size is 4 byte. So 4 byte means 32 bits, guys, right? Because 1 byte is 8 bit, right? 8 bits. So if you don't have any idea about array, I'm going to show you guys how it will look. Let's say computer memory is a long tape of you can say it, you can say like this. Okay, it's a tape, you can say. So consider this binary. You see, this binary is 0 1 2 3, and it will have 32 this kind of box, right? So you can say box. Every box has an address, guys. Anyway, we will discuss about these things later. Okay, so imagine it has 32 more. We have 7 or 8 here. Imagine we have 32, right? So now we have a while loop, guys, here. Okay, so what does this while loop do? This while loop, if we visualize this while loop, so we will understand what it does. Okay, so it's just giving us the reminders. Okay, so how we will take these, guys, we will understand step by step. Okay, so you see here, when number is not equals number is greater than 0, right? So this loop will we can enter into this loop if number is greater than 0. So in our case we have 5, so 5 would be greater than 0. So if we visualize this one, let me show you from here. You see here, while 5 is greater than 0, we get our first iteration, right? So you see here binary, plus plus, okay? So index plus plus. So what does this index plus plus mean, guys? Let's say this was like this. You see, if you see here, okay, so this was plus plus. That means index 0 will get the value this one, number modulus 2, right? And when the loop ends, after implementing this line, this index will increase again, right? So 0 would be 1, but the first value uh, will be stored in 0, and then it will increase. It's post increment, guys, not pre increment. Okay, so let's say in this, so this would be first, it will be 0, right? So in the 0 index, number modulus 2, so 5 modulus 2 is 1. Okay, so 1 is being stored in this variable, guys. 1 is being stored in this, this binary index 0, right? So when uh, when it ends, so index would be 1. Index would be 1, right? It will update later. Do you understand? It will update after after taking this value, then it will increase, right? So this is you need to be careful, guys, because when you visualize, you need to be clear about everything, right? So in our second iteration, okay, so let me just erase this, then you will realize better, right? So now second iteration, our number is, you see, oh, I didn't describe this line, guys. So this number, see this line, that means number divided by 2, and that value will be stored in the number variable again, right? So 5 divided by 2, we get 2, and this 2 is being stored in this number variable. So when you go in the second iteration, okay, so index plus plus, so our index was 1 here, right? 1. So we will get this value will be stored in index number 1. So what would be this value? Because our number is 2 now, right? So 2 is greater than 0, so we enter into the loop, and here we will get 0, right? And where this will be stored, this will be stored in the first place, right? So you see, if you see here, uh, so in the first binary value, we are getting 0, right? So in the previous index 0, we had the value 1, right? So we need to understand these things, guys. Okay, so now number is equal to number divided by 2, right? So number is 1, guys. Oh sorry, it's third iteration. We need to go second iteration. Okay, so number divided by 2, right? So number is 2 divided by 2 would be 1. Okay, so this index will be this index would be incremented. Here it would be 2, right? 2 now. Okay, so when it comes in the third iteration, so binary index 2, in the second position it will be stored. Okay, so what was our number, guys? Here our number was 1, right? So 1 modulus 2, we will have 1, guys, right? And number 1 divided by 2 would be 0, right? So in the second index we will get 1, right? So if you see here, in the second index we will get value 1. Okay, so but one more thing you need to consider here, index will be increased now, guys. Index would be 3, right? So when index is 3, so that means we are using, I mean, this position is booked too, right? This third position is booked. Do you understand? Because we are, you know, we are doing post increment after, you know, after placing the value, after taking the value, it increases later, right? It increments later. So now we will focus on our program, guys. Now we have a printf statement, binary representation. Okay, so now we have a for loop. And what does this for loop do? For loop starts from index minus 1. Okay, so what is index here, guys? In our case, index is 3, right? Finally we come in this index, right? So 3 minus 1 would be 2, right? So our first iteration, and 2 is, you know, greater than or equal 0, right? This condition is true. Now we will print a binary, you know, I means 2, right? You see, binary I. So what is I? Okay, so in the first position I is 2. So what is in the second position? What is in the 2 position? 2 index. 2 index value is 1, right? So 1 will be printed here. So do you remember we said that we count from the, you know, last one. I told you in the example, right? When I showed you, we start from this one. Okay, we start from this one when you count, you know, when you take the binary number. Okay, so this is what happens here. So okay, so for the second iteration we will just see these two statements, guys. Okay, so when you work with loop, for loop, we just need to consider from second iteration, you just need to consider these statements. Okay, don't bother about the starting point. You don't need to consider about the starting point after, you know, first iteration. Okay, so you can forget this starting point now. Okay, so next, I minus minus. What is I minus minus? I minus minus mean I will decrease by 1, right? So if you see here, second iteration, I decreases by 1, so 2 becomes 1 now. Okay, so now 1 is greater than or less than 0, it's true, right? So binary 1 would be 0. So what is in, you know, once index 1 index 1 value, a value of index 1 is 0, so we will print 0 here, right? See, second iteration will 0 here, and the third iteration we get, you see, you understand now, I hope. So minus minus means 1 minus, you know, 1 minus 1, 0. So 0 is not greater than 0 but equal to 0. Okay, so this condition would be true, and 0th positions, 0 index value is 1, so 1 will be printed. So finally we get the, you know, binary representation of 5. So this thing is, you know, this whole thing is like this, guys. I take much time, I take enough time to explain everything to you guys. If you are passionate enough, you can learn, guys. I don't just do hurry. I explain everything step by step. Okay, so see you in the next video, guys. I hope you're doing well and keep practicing. Thank you.